Have another episode of my dating life as a full-service spicy worker. So the guy at the gym whose number I got the other week, we planned to see each other at the gym on Saturday. He's like, oh, are you free on Wednesday? Let's go to Slow House in Bondi, which is like another recovery area spa place. And, you know, we'd seen each other a few times at the gym now, and so like now he'd finally asked me out. Or so I thought. So this was on Saturday, today's Thursday. Wednesday rolls around, which was yesterday, which was when we were supposed to be going, and yeah, just never heard from him. Dating as an adult is wild. Like what is this low effort crap? So yesterday when it didn't happen, I was like, F this, I'm just gonna message the male companion again and book in to see him next week. I message him and I'm like, hey baby, what are you doing next week? You free? And he's like, baby, I'm always free for you. I'm like, Thursday? He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you want to go dart throwing or do you want to play tennis? He goes, let's play tennis. I go, done, see you then. And then he sent me a hot pic of himself. Like that, why does dating have to be any more difficult than that? I swear this is why I have clients and then I have F buddies. Because what, like, I'm sorry, let's hang out on Wednesday and then let me just never talk to you again. What? What? I have clients paying me to go on shopping sprees and you can't even text me back. Crazy. Anyway, so I'm kind of off him now, but it's okay because there is no shortage of hot guys at my new gym. So I haven't actually seen him at the gym since Saturday. I've been unwell, so I haven't been to the gym. So might be orcs when we see each other again. And I'm just like, sorry, do I know you? Actually, sorry, have we met? Anyway, until next time.
Yesterday I went over to hang out with the guy that I'm seeing and we were going to watch football, but I woke up yesterday and I just had a lot of anxiety. It was like a high anxiety day, but we had plans, whatever. So I go over to his house, we go on a walk, we get a treat, we go back to his house, put football on. I promptly fall asleep, wake up from my nap and my anxiety is like an all-time high. And I'm like, I need to go home. Like I need to be gone. And it was like 5 p.m. at this point. And we hadn't really discussed it, but like, I know that we both kind of probably assumed that we were going to like hang out for the night, walk, like eat dinner, whatever. I had only been over there for a few hours at this point and I had fallen asleep. So I wake up from my nap and I'm like, I gotta go. Like he didn't know that I was having a crash out internally, but I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go. And he was like, oh, right now? Like, do you want to watch Survivor or something? And I was like, no, I think I'm gonna go. And he was like, okay, like that's fine. Which, side note, like didn't make me feel guilty or bad or anything, which should be normal, but anyway. So he's like, okay, yeah, no worries. So I leave, get home, and I'm sitting here on my couch, feeling anxious, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why do I kind of want to go back? Why do I want to hang out with him? I like to be alone when I'm stressed. And I don't even like boys. Like that's so not who I am, to be having like a stressful day, anxiety for no apparent reason, and to be like, oh, I kind of want to go back. I kind of want to hang out with him. Criminal. That's criminal as far as I'm concerned. That's not who I am. So I'm sitting here being like, oh, why do I want to go back? That's crazy. So I texted him and I was like, hey, what are you doing? It had been like 2 hours at this point. I texted him and I said, what are you doing? Is it too late or should I come back and we can watch Survivor? And it's like 7 p.m. and he says, haha, yeah, like come back. And I said, what's so funny? Why are you saying haha? And he said, because you miss me. And I said, no, I don't. Don't ever say that again. No, I don't. But I did, in fact, go back and watch Survivor.
Unfortunately, my husband's filing for divorce because of the most recent video I made. I can't really talk about it much, but I guess it was a little bit too crazy. I thought we were on the same terms as like boundary-wise. I really thought he'd be okay with this one, but apparently not. When he saw it, he didn't really say much to me that night. He became really quiet, and then he hasn't been home in like a few days, and I got the letter yesterday. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but I don't know. I really enjoyed the video I made, so overall maybe it was worth it. I don't know. I got fired from my job and my husband's divorcing me. Let's talk about it. For the past 3 years, I've been a pottery professor and I've absolutely loved my job. But for the past 2 years, I've been doing thottery and they seemed to be okay with it at first when I wasn't that big and I wasn't like making that crazy kind of content. But then my boss did see one of my most recent videos and he said that it just wasn't appropriate Even though I wasn't teaching kids, all my students were adults, he still didn't think it was appropriate for me to be their professor and do the thoughterly content as well. So I did lose that job. And then my husband did file for divorce for the exact same reason in the exact same video. Honestly, I didn't think that video was that crazy, but apparently it did not set well with them. So yeah, that's the truth. It's really hard. I'm going through a lot right now, but I'll get through it. My husband filing for divorce because of the video I posted online is definitely worth it, because I'd rather be with someone that truly loves me and accepts what I do for work. So I'm sure I'll find someone in the future. But anyways, here's a little painting I'm working on.
No accountability. They're not going to do it. Once again, like I've said in other videos, these women, some of these ladies, they'll say things and then they'll be like, I didn't even know it was going to have that effect. They'll do things and they'll be like, I could have never known. I could have never known that would be the result. Why didn't anybody tell me? But then again, maybe this is God's doing. Maybe he wasn't my person after all. No, you just did something stupid and you drove him away. You just acted like an idiot and you put stuff out there. And when your job saw it, they were like, mm-mm. When your husband saw it, he was like, yeah, no. And I think you knew that. I think you knew that. But sometimes you ladies don't care. Like, y'all know what y'all are doing, but y'all don't care. Oh, well, you know, if he has a problem, well, he should love me for me. He should love me because, you know, this is unapologetic. They like to use that word, unapologetically who I am. What? Stop being unapologetically stupid.
You recently divorced a narcissist. I want you to remember what he did to you. Remember the things that he said to you. Remember how it made you feel. I've been divorced for almost 4 months, and a lot of people give me advice that I should be moving on. I should put all of that behind me. Don't hold a grudge. I kind of lean towards that thinking that I'm happy and thankful that I got out of that marriage and it's no longer something that's in my day-to-day life, and it's better just to kind of move on and just put the whole thing behind me. But then I remembered that's what I did during the marriage. Every time something was said to me that was cruel or disrespectful, every time I was lied to or degraded, I forgot about it. I put it behind me because the relationship was so important to me. I knew that if I accepted and absorbed what was being done to me, that I wouldn't be able to stay in the relationship. And the relationship was everything. I think that over 18 years, I literally trained my mind to forget these conflicts, these ugly lies, these humiliations, because that's the way that I dealt with it. That was my way of being in the relationship and keeping it and surviving it in a way. Now that I'm out of it, there are days when I do forget it. I've forgotten it in a way. I forgot how the words and how it made me feel. And it almost in a way made me look at my ex-husband a little differently, with maybe kinder, gentler eyes. But then I woke up and I realized, no, you need to remember what was said and what was done to you, because that woman that experienced all that mattered. It is important that her experience be honored and acknowledged. So no, I'm not going to forget it. I'm going to remember it all.
You know, y'all say a lot of stuff and it never truly seems to boomerang around to accountability. Y'all throw that thing out there and it never seems to truly like turn around and hit you and you say, now this is what I did. These are the things that I could have done better. This is how I could have improved. Of course not. Of course not. Why would y'all? Instead, y'all spend y'all's time coming up with the captions knowing darn well that they're false. Remember what the narcissist did to you. Y'all will say anything for likes, for clout, for validation, for somebody to feel sorry for you and you to be the victim.
Single mom of 4. Do I regret leaving and becoming single for the first time in my entire life with 4 kids? No. Unfortunately, I don't. My psychologist told me that after 6 to 12 months you'll know whether it's the right decision to leave, and I get teary because I wish that my life didn't turn out like this, but it did. No person goes into having kids with somebody thinking that they're going to end up on their own. And no mum of 4 is going to leave the father of their kids unless it's absolutely essential. Will I be single forever? Maybe. Do I trust that God has a plan in my life? Absolutely. Am I going to share my story and inspire others and make other people feel less alone because I know what it feels like to be in the absolute trenches all by myself? Yes. So I'm a year post breakup and I am the happiest I've ever been. Do I have regrets on leaving? No, I don't. Am I excited for the future? Absolutely. Do I trust that one day I'll meet a man that's going to love me and my kids? Yeah, I do. Because I have faith. There is only one way to get an accurate answer on whether it was the right decision to leave a relationship or not. And this comes from my psychologist, from the horse's mouth. You cannot process, you cannot know, you cannot give a legitimate answer until you have a regulated nervous system. Because when you're stuck in fight or flight, or you're stuck in your different attachment styles, or you're feeling pressured by people around you, or by your own children, you cannot think clearly. Your body will not tell you the truth. So, how long does it take to get a regulated nervous system so that I know whether or not I'm making the right decision? Because let's be honest, it sucks. I think I'm doing the right thing, but I also have a dillion doubts. A lot of those doubts come from external factors, but the only thing that you should be concentrating on is yourself and your children, if you've got them. What is best for you right now that will lead to creating a regulated nervous system so that you can make a more informed decision? Because this isn't about academics and knowledge. This is about your sense of self and your sense of peace. And this isn't about anybody else. Nobody else knows exactly what you've experienced, what you've felt, what you've encountered except for you. It helps to have 1 or 2 people in our corner that 100% believe our truths, but ultimately only you know. So, regulating a nervous system. Mechanically, how do I get a regulated nervous system? We might have to dissect this further in separate videos, but the first step is to take yourself out of the chaos. That not only means physically, but mentally. Take the things out of the boiling pot. If you haven't heard of the boiling pot theory, then look it up. Anything that doesn't need dealing with right now goes into a filing cabinet in your mind for another day. And then you need to start looking after yourself, because more than likely you've neglected yourself in this process. So self-care, self-love, self-worth, self-value. This can be a bubble bath. Start working out, start eating better, start doing the things as a mum that you want to do, like taking your kids to the park more, kicking a ball with them, going to the beach. Do things that make you feel good, because that builds your confidence and your self-worth. And as you increase that and as you remove yourself from the situations that we know just trigger us, you will start to regulate yourself and things will start to become clear. I hope that's helpful.
It isn't. It's not. When y'all start playing the victim, which is pretty much in every single scenario, it's not helpful. How is telling other women going to help them when what you tell them, this is what happened to me and I had this happen to me? And I'm sure in her comments, as all of these other clips, there's going to be women in the comments talking about how they went through it and how their life has been so bad, how the man held them down, and how life after him is, I'm still struggling, but through weeping eyes, I'm living my best life. I'm getting back to me. I'm really finding out who I am. How can you get back to yourself? You didn't know who you were in the first place. You know what? That's just me being petty. But the point is, y'all will get on here and talk about how terrible the man is. And y'all never once again seem to let us in on a little secret, intentionally, by the way, just how bad y'all are in the relationship.
So a guy yesterday asked me, do I want my next partner to have kids or not? And I replied, you're not going to like the answer, but I'll tell you. He's like, why won't I like the answer? And I said to him, look, I know I'm painting with a very wide brush here, but the problem that a lot of divorced women face is we can't date the guys who have never been married and who don't have kids because they don't quite get the stage of life that we're in. And not that you're in a better or worse stage of life if you don't get married and don't have kids, but it's just a mindset shift. Not better, just different. So that leaves the men who have kids and who have been married. The problem is that we as women know that women will very rarely leave a marriage that has children unless shit has gotten super untenable, like really bad. Something's very off. You know, it takes a lot for a woman to disrupt, a fairly stable home life unless the home life is incredibly unstable. He replied and he goes, yeah, you're right. That did piss me off. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I told you. I'm sorry. I know. I don't know all the details of your marriage, but that's what goes through my mind. And he said, well, how do you know that she didn't do something wrong? I'm like, well, did she? And he said, well, she moved on pretty quickly after our breakup, so maybe something was happening there. I don't know. I'm opening myself up to a lot of pain in the comments here, but that is genuinely the situation. Do I know that there are situations where toxic women exist? Absolutely. I get it. And do I know that sometimes men will check out rather than get divorced? So women have to pull the plug anyway. Yes, I do know all that. I'm just saying, like, this is what makes it challenging. Someone said to me, the perks of being with a man who's been married before is that he's pre-trained and doesn't want to replicate a lot of the challenges of his marriage, which brings me hope. But I'm just, I invite people to get involved in this discourse. Can you give me a counter argument?
Something I want to talk about real quick is divorce. I am pretty newly divorced, already dating, which it is what it is. I found someone that I like and makes me happy. And I got a lot of congratulations with my divorce, and I get why. It was a type of situation where, like, yeah, needed the divorce, needed it. Didn't want that to happen, but needed it. So I got a lot of, like, congratulations, so proud of you, and, like, I appreciate that. But also, like, I'm still, like, mourning and grieving the life I was supposed to have. Like, there was a plan. Vows were made. There was a plan. We were supposed to be married, live this life, and unfortunately, I had to leave. I did, for my mental health, for everything. Probably should have left a long time ago, but I needed to know that I did everything I could to try and stay, and then finally had to leave. And I think some people see me on here, like, happy that I'm dating, and, you know, this person I'm dating is wonderful and treats me like a queen, and, like, love that for me. But also, like, I'm still sad. And there's days like today where I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, this wasn't supposed to happen. But it did. And here we are. And I don't know, I guess I'm just saying, like, check on your divorced friends. They're probably not okay. Even if they seem like they're okay, even if they're dating the most wonderful man, even if they seem all smiley and happy, and they're not okay. I promise you, they are grieving the life they were supposed to have, and it sucks. Anywho, the thing I did today to make myself feel better was I bought $8 fake Crocs at Aldi with fuzzy lining. I picked them up and I put them back down like 12 times because I was like, no, you don't need those. But you know what? Today I did. Today I needed these to bring a little smile to my face. So, yeah.
I'll say if the brother was doing you wrong, like putting his hands on you and like really honestly and truly like legit doing you wrong, most men would be like, yeah, get out of there. Especially if you're my sister, especially if you're my mom. my friend, anybody in my family, because that innate need for a man to protect his own will rise up inside of the man. So he'll do anything to get you out of that situation, right? So you don't have to worry about that there. I think what happens is a lot of times women get on here and they spout off about how terrible the man was. Just quite honestly and truly, they'll make up terms that nobody has ever heard of and ascribe it to the man as if the man was doing it. And if a psychologist broke that down, or a psychiatrist or a therapist broke that down, and be like, that's not even a word. Yeah, but it just describes what I'm feeling. But you can't be feeling anything because that doesn't even exist. You just made that up. And the thing that you're talking about that's close to that, he's nowhere near that. So you're just making things up. And a lot of times it's just a narrative being painted to make the man look like a terrible person, like the worst of the worst, like he never did anything right in a relationship. And I think that's what men get tired of.
Sometimes it's just little memories, I was talking to a friend and I'm just like, I'm getting used to coming home to myself. It's the little things. Waking up in the morning, we would always say, like, I love you, or I'd say I love you, and if he didn't wake up and hear me, he would, like, immediately call me on the way to work. He's like, you didn't tell me you love me. And then, like, coming home and just wanting a hug immediately. It's not that I miss him. The little things you've done for 14 years, It's just little sad things sometimes. And whoever's been through a divorce, like, you totally understand. Like, you're good, and then just little things pop up. And then, especially, like, once I do start dating, it's like you go from being with someone 24/7, and then just someone who, you're just learning new things, and it will get better. It will get easier.
One of the reasons why I continuously choose to stay single is because I simply have not yet met anyone that has made me want to change my mind about being single. And I was thinking about this the other day, right? Because I often go so back and forth between, like, I really love being single, I don't want to lose my independence, and then there's obviously other moments where I'm like, wow, I really wish that I had someone, I miss just being close to someone, all of those things. Like, it is such a paradox all the time for me. But I've mentioned this previously too, my desire to be single is greater than my desire to be in a relationship. And I honestly don't think that's going to change until I meet someone that is going to make me feel more excited to be in a relationship than to be single. Like, not even joking when I say I can think of more reasons why it's better to be single than to be in a relationship. But what I'm waiting for is for that person to come into my life and show me why being in a relationship could be better than being single. And until that happens, if it happens, when that happens, I'm going to choose the side of being single because, in my opinion, that's better. But I do want someone to change my mind. I'm not saying that I necessarily enjoy being here all the time. I do believe that there is somebody that is going to make me change my mind one day about this. But you better believe that until that day comes, if that day comes, I'm going to choose singleness over just being in a relationship because it's something that I crave every once in a while. And that's genuinely the way that I see it going for me, because as of yet, every single man that has been into my life has only made my life worse and has brought out the absolute worst in me and just made me become a version of myself that I absolutely hate and do not ever want to see again. So like I said, until I meet someone that actually makes me change my mind about that makes me excited to be in a relationship, I'm not going to be in a relationship. I'm not going to date. I'm not going to look for anyone, which I don't do that anyway. But what I'm really hoping for, what I am holding out for, is that person that is going to make me excited to date them. That person that is going to change my mind from it's better to be single than being in a relationship to, hey, maybe it's better being in a relationship than it is being single. But I know it's going to take a very, very special person to be able to change my mind about that, which I do hope is the case, because singleness is all I know. It's obviously the thing that I'm comfortable with, but I do want to experience that version of me that is in a relationship and that is excited for that kind of lifestyle. But I can tell you for sure, I ain't met anyone yet that has made me feel that way. So we're just going to keep waiting until that happens.
See if I can give you a little analogy. So a lot of times when people go to the gym, they start off, and I've seen a lot of women do this. I've seen men, but it's a lot of women that'll post their before, hey, I'm doing. As a matter of fact, there was a guy that was watching on Instagram. I think that's where I saw it on Instagram. A woman said, hey, I'm cringe. I'm not a very, basically, I'm an awkward person, but I'm posting this right now. I'm 200 and something pounds. I want to lose about 100 pounds. And, I'm posting this because I want to look back over the years. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I want to start making choices that are going to make me happy. I want to start making choices that are going to make me feel good about myself. And I think this is one of them, right? And so you go to the gym, and you have to put in the work in order to get those gains. And when you start seeing that stuff come off, the pounds, and you start to see your body change just even a little bit. Sometimes you don't recognize it, but other people's like, man, you're really slimming down. And that gives you some sort of rush to where you feel good about yourself. And that makes you go harder. That gives you the motivation to say, man, you know what? I guess it is working. Because during that journey, you're going to be like, man, this crap ain't working. Man, I'm stopped. But when people say that to you, especially when you're by yourself most of the time, every little bit helps. Every little bit of motivation helps. So you can continue on doing things to get yourself in the position, in the place that you want to be. And I say that to say, you've got to put in the work. A man is not going to make you happy. I think I understand what you're saying, but too many times men hear the statement, and that means work for them. That means I've got to go get the extravagant flowers. I've got to go get the extravagant car, and take her on extravagant dates and vacations and all that other stuff. When she actually needs to be healed. She actually, even if she is healed, she needs some, she needs some hobbies. She needs some friends. How is that funny? That's not funny. We all need friends. The song said friends. How many of us have them? Right? I'm just saying, a man is not going to be, he's going to do things that, encourage you, inspire you. And you're like, man, that really, I love that, man. Thank you for that. But you gotta, too many times, like I said, I understand what you're saying, but too many times women are looking for that spark. And if that spark is not there immediately, they end it all. And then they wonder why years later they're alone.
Men don't ask for a divorce because they're done. They ask for a divorce because they have somewhere else to go. Most men don't leave to find someone new. They find someone new so that they can leave. Men are so much more likely to avoid high-stress emotional conversations, so they shut down instead of speaking up. And they don't want to be the ones that break up the family, so they disengage slowly, hoping that you'll be the one to pull the plug. They don't have the words to say, I'm lonely, and there's so much shame around expressing their emotions, so instead they choose to withdraw. And many will not leave until there's a bridge, someone new, because they cannot face the void of being alone. And that new connection gives them permission to act on feelings that they've been suppressing for years. You can't chase a man back into connection. The more you beg, the more he feels flooded, and he just retreats further. He doesn't ask for divorce with his voice, but he asks for it every day in his actions. Things like no more arguing. He used to argue because he cared. Now he just shrugs and walks away. He stays late at work, avoiding coming home and having to face you. Avoiding having the hard conversations, avoiding digging deep. He avoids eye contact when you're talking, or you're sitting there crying and he just seems completely unfazed. He doesn't answer your calls or your texts when he's out. It could be hours, and he just doesn't have the courtesy to call you back, let you know where he is, when he's coming home. He prioritizes everything else but you, gym, friends, work. You're at the bottom of the list. He talks about freedom or needing space. Maybe he compares you to other women, saying that she's so chill. Why can't you be like that? He stops saying goodnight or goodbye, just disappears without saying a word. He seems relieved when you don't talk, and he acts like you're the problem. Everything becomes your fault. It's easier to villainize you than to face his own detachment. You're trying to make things work with a man who's already halfway out the door. And the more you try, the more you lose yourself in an effort to bridge the gap that he does not care to close.
I romanticized being a wife and mother from a very young age. I was swept away in Disney movies and depictions of happily ever afters. I come from a fairly conservative background and was not allowed to have a boyfriend until well into my university days. Although I dated, I had to do so covertly because the consequences of my parents finding out would have been dire. When I started to get more male attention in high school and university, I thrived on it. However, I couldn't really pursue anything officially because of my circumstances at home. Cut to an eventual 4.5-year toxic relationship post-university where I engaged in trying to fix a guy who was never sure about me and allowed me to run around cleaning up after him and packing his bag and lunch for work. My parents disliked him the entire time we dated. I eventually broke up with him. That was when my mother said to me at age 25, "I was really hoping you'd have a boyfriend and would be starting to settle down by now." Those words, for a people-pleasing, validation-seeking daughter, were the death nail. It was like the flipping of a switch, and it became my mission to find a husband. I pursued a man at work who, once again, was not sure about me, and eventually he became convinced that I was wife material only because I basically gave him an ultimatum that I was going to leave him if he couldn't commit. And so he proposed 6 months into us officially dating. There were numerous red flags in our incompatibility. I remember sitting at a Valentine's Day dinner, which he did out of obligation at the last minute, and where he was basically ignoring me while he looked at his phone. In that moment, I knew this was the wrong match for me, but I disregarded that feeling. I am extroverted and get excited about everything. I am a passionate person. I remember early in our relationship, he said that I was too intense for him. I then proceeded to convince him and myself that I could rein myself in. I could be what he wanted. After we got engaged, we had to take a marriage prep course. He was so busy with his coaching that I did the course online for the both of us, and he didn't contribute at all. There was also a multiple choice compatibility portion of the marriage prep course. The woman facilitating the reflection portion, following our completion of the quiz, said to him, "It seems that you have chosen answers based on what you think they should be, not what you truly think." All this to say, I felt my instincts flare to life in these situations, but I pushed them aside in favor of settling down and reaching this all-important milestone that had been constructed as a measure of my worth as a woman. I really do think that I loved my husband, though, in those early days. I am by nature a loving, giving, and empathetic person. I wanted nothing more than to love and be loved, just like those early fairy tales had depicted. On vacations, if there was ever a complication, he would lose his temper at me, and although he knows I am prone to anxiety, he would heighten mine even further. Fast forward to our first attempts at having children. At one point he said half-jokingly, "What if I don't want kids? I know that then I won't be number one anymore." There was so much truth to this statement. We eventually became pregnant, and I lost the first baby quite traumatically, and then had to have a D&C. This impacted my mental health severely. While he was there for my surgery, he has always been emotionally absent and avoidant. I do think he cares when he wants to, but he does not have the emotional intelligence to support me during times of strife. We eventually had our first child via a very traumatic birth, which saw my son have to be hospitalized and require interventions for his first several years of life. Alongside this, my husband lost his mother to cancer. This further plunged my husband into avoidant grief. He has not been the same person since. And while I have encouraged him on multiple occasions to get counseling, which we have extensive coverage for, he always has said he is fine. My son could not walk for his first several years of life, and I was almost always the one who walked with him in a harness so that he could play independently. And my husband watched me do this. He often looks at me with an expression that evokes, "Well, you wanted children, this is what you signed up for." At the same time, the death of my husband's mother almost propelled him into career overdrive, where he sought to work extensively in his coaching career to make a name for himself. I parented alone throughout the week and on many weekends. I was so unhappy and would often cry myself to sleep. Instead of leaving him, I decided that the next milestone needed to be achieved, and that might save our relationship. So we started trying for a second child. I once again had a traumatic miscarriage, which required surgery. When I became pregnant again, early in the pregnancy, I believed there was a problem and was sure I had miscarried again. My doctor requested an ultrasound, and my husband said, "There is no point in me coming. We already know what the result is going to be." As I prepared for that ultrasound, I had never felt more alone. I was silently crying in the room, and the ultrasound tech finally said that the baby was okay. I cried tears of joy, but I feel that something was broken in our relationship that has never healed. My second son was born, and he had severe colic. I barely slept, and he wouldn't eat properly because of reflux. My husband had taken on a second job and was absent more than he was at home. I was drowning. My postpartum depression was so severe that I was in fight or flight all of the time. He would see me holding our screaming son, rocking him and near the edge of my sanity, and he would walk by and leave me there. I have never felt so trapped. When he was offered a permanent position coaching where he would be out of town so much of the time, I told him that if I was going to be a single parent anyway, that I would then officially become a single parent. He declined the offer and never let me forget it, constantly blaming me for not being able to coach, even though it would have meant barely seeing his own children. He had full expectation that as the mother, I would just fill in and hold down the fort. This expectation and his lack of emotional support has worn away my love to nothing. My resentment now lives inside me as a permanent fixture. If I could leave him, I would. Maybe I'm making the wrong decision by not leaving, but I don't want my time with my children to be split with him 50%. He would always take the easiest route in terms of making meals, their homework, their structures and routine, and their access to technology. He would let things get out of hand and then explode at them when they take their liberties or boundary push because of his inattentiveness. I have not been intimate with my husband in over 2 years. We never kiss or hug. He sometimes brings it up in an offhanded way, but I think he is afraid to push the issue because he knows how far away I have been alienated by his behavior and that I might finally leave. But truly, I don't believe that he is tolerant of our current situation because he cares for me and wants to fix things. He loves what I do for him in terms of labor and that I take care of our kids. He could not pursue his career the way he wants or come home to a meal after work. His bed sheets wouldn't be changed, and he'd have to watch our boys and meet their needs away from my support. He also enjoys the financial freedom of having his income plus mine. I take care of myself and present myself as a worthy wife publicly. During my entire time with him over 17 years, I have become a shadow of my former self. He knows that I am still bound to our marriage and responsibilities to our children. He knows I will always choose what is best for them above all else, so he knows I'll stay. The few chances I get to spend time with friends, where I get to be myself, are like quenching an unbearable thirst. But his schedule limits these instances, and I truly feel he tries to make these chances as difficult as possible. He is jealous of my relationships outside of him and hates to see that I most assuredly would be better off without him. I often reflect on what my life would have been like with a supportive and emotionally intelligent partner. I know they are few and far between, but I wish I would have loved myself enough to wait. It is a unique torture to imagine the life I could have pursued if I didn't willingly help to construct my own cage.
You know, if I didn't know any better, I would say that vast majority of these women talking about this stuff, they could be best-selling authors. Yeah, they talk about this stuff. It's almost as if they've sat down and wrote this. Maybe they did. Maybe they did, and they proofread it, and they waited on it, and they came back and added to it, and then they changed words. You know, really just some author type stuff. Really, I'm from start to finish, I'm the author of the book, I'm the editor, and I'm the publisher. You know, and they make, you know, I'm not saying that they're making up these stories. I'm just saying the way they speak about it is their life was the worst. He did all of these terrible things, but somewhere, somehow in their story, they always forget to put where they were involved. Like they never did anything wrong, and anything that they did wrong, it wasn't a big deal and it shouldn't have been a big deal.
A lot of times women don't realize they don't like their husbands. You know, we've all seen it, that girl that is a type, and then she gets married to a guy that looks nothing like her ex's because she didn't like the guy, but she wanted the kid in the marriage. And the problem for us is attention is our currency. So once we get that attention and it wears off, then we have to ask ourselves the question, do we actually like the man that's in front of us? I got what I wanted. I got the wedding. I got the kids. So what happens is women start to realize after they have the number of kids that they wanted and the attention goes away from the kids that they don't like the man in front of them. That's when they start looking for other options, and they usually leave when the kid is around 4, like 3 to 5, whenever it starts going to daycare or public school. And you can tell the women that don't like their husbands, you can tell because they start to count favors back and forth, and they start to complain about him not doing chores or these other terms like, it doesn't make any sense because men don't really talk about their problems that much, where we complain a lot. So if anybody does emotional labor, it's definitely the men, right? It's definitely the guys. Men are just, I think as a woman, the one thing women envy about men is the peace that they could have with a mattress on the floor in an apartment, right? One time when I was in California for a while, I met a homeless guy. And this homeless guy was talking to me about how he loved being homeless. Like he was just content in like this little shack that he had built. And he was and I'm like, could a woman be happy doing that? No. Women will be in like mansions and unhappy.
How does a woman take care of a man?
What do you mean?
How should a woman take care of a man?
She shouldn't have to.
At all?
No.
Then why should a man date a woman?
What kind of question is that?
Like, what value would you provide to a man?
What? That's a crazy question.
What do you mean?
You shouldn't have to provide some value to a man.
And what's the point of the relationship?
What value do they provide to us?
Protecting you, providing for you.
This is exactly why so many men are just done with dating. Because I have said this before, and I will say it again. A man is taught his entire life how to treat a woman. But a woman is taught her entire life how to be treated by a man, not how to treat a man. Ladies, if you want the benefits of a man, you need to put forth some amount of effort. It doesn't even need to be as much effort as him. It just needs to be something, because that is what indicates to a man that you're actually interested in him. And honestly, when one person is carrying all of the load of the relationship, well, how is that fun?
I want to give you all a divorce update and let y'all know where things are standing as much as I can. There's going to be some things that I can't say here for the next little bit, but this is how it stands. For the 3rd month in a row, my soon-to-be ex decided on the 4th Wednesday of this month that he did not have to put my alimony in the bank as he was instructed legally. And he signed off on the affidavit. It was notarized at the courthouse. It was supposed to be a done deal. I might not look over here at y'all. That's because I'm driving, but I am talking to you. But this divorce has been really rough. So I'm going to tell you what he did. He took my alimony money and moved out of our son's apartment, thinking that if I didn't have an address to serve him, then I couldn't get him served. So this is what I'm looking at. Either have him served at church, or when he's picking up our grandson from the nursery, which I don't think I could do that because it would just be too much. Or have an investigator find where he is, because I know he hasn't left the area, and then have him served. So these are the things I'm looking at. I never imagined, I promise, I never thought that he would be so contentious. I really didn't see this coming, even though my brother said be prepared. And my brother is very highly disappointed in all of this. I was legally advised to be at the courthouse Friday by 1 o'clock to sign an affidavit to have him served, but they need an address. And since he's moved from staying with their son all the time, it's going to be a matter of staking out where he goes, what his routine is, finding out where I can have him served. But this is the thing I don't understand, y'all. He has double the income that I have, and I'm sitting here paying like the utilities and groceries and taking care of even Jordan and Zane, even though Jordan has gone and gotten a job and he's going to be out by, he's committed to being out by December the 1st. But even with all that going on, he just walks away. And who's going to pay all these utilities? Who's going to do the things that you're not doing? You know, you're not helping with doing things repaired around the house. I want to tell y'all, my sweet, sweet neighbors have agreed that once a week they will come into my home, and once a week they will work on all of the repairs that need to be done that he didn't do. I'm stopped so I can look at you. That all the repairs that he didn't do, and just excuse my hair, goodness, I just washed it last night. But anyhow, today we're going to celebrate Zane at the house. I didn't get to go to his third birthday party. Laura didn't get to go to his third birthday party because she had to work. So we didn't have any videos of Zane and Kate together. Well, I did a review for Walmart. Thank you, Walmart. I love you. And they gave me a $412 McLaren car. It had a crack in it, and I was going to, I wasn't going to do the review, and they said, just know that we're good for it, and they gave me a total full refund. Hold on, I got to stop right now and get Scotch Guard. Scotch Guard for my furniture, because I know two little messy sets of hands that's going to be showing up at the house. But so I have so we have the McLaren. I told Jordan to go up underneath that crack and put some bonding tape of some sort so it can't come loose. And so that's going to be his gift here. Now they gave him a birthday party a week ago yesterday. I was too sick to attend. And then the other side of his family gave him one yesterday. They are the most amazing people, and they spoiled him so rotten. I'm so thankful to God for that side of the family, because Nani and Pop stepped up their game. They didn't have to. They're like me. Their kids, why would they have to start over? But they have stepped up. Well, we are a powerful team together. So, of course, I'm not inviting my soon-to-be ex, because it'll be it's too much. I can't take it. I've been sick almost every day. I have a very important GI appointment tomorrow, and I seriously think it's just my nerves, because I need closure, and he's refusing to make it possible for me to get the closure. So I'm stopping here. I have a store credit for Home Depot, and I'm going to go in here and find some Scotch Guard right quick, and then I'm going to drop it off with Jordan, and then I'm going to get Zane from his other grandparents' house, and Jacob and Laura are going to meet us there, and Jordan's over there putting the McLaren back together, because I was going to send it back. And but I appreciate Walmart. They ain't playing. When they say they want a good review, they want a good review. But the McLaren, I'll tell y'all how it goes after he gets in. It only goes 9 miles an hour. But they say it's for ages 6 and up, but I think he can drive it. So anyhow, stay tuned, and I'll keep y'all posted about that. I'm sure I'll probably even do a live about that, but if not, I'll absolutely come back and update y'all. But I love y'all so very much, and thank y'all for being patient with me, because when I tell you I've been in the trenches, and y'all promised you'd stand by me, and I'm counting on y'all to stand by me. This has taken a physical toll on me, emotionally, spiritually, and I just need answers from God. I got to find out where he is to get him served. Please pray that I can find that. If not, I'm going to have to do something, even if I have to just stake out and find out his movements. I'll get him served. It's just a matter of how, but I've got to put the person's name down that's willing to meet with me and serve him on my behalf on the drop of a dime. So I can't do it. A deputy can, but I can't do it. But then the deputy's name has to be on that paper. So, pray that this works out. I don't want any harm. I even told him Friday, I said, you're twisting my arm to make me do these things, and I don't want to. Just be a man of your word. Pay me my alimony, which is my other part of the Social Security that he caused me to get cheated out of. And I said, let's just go on up the road from there. And he decides to not keep his word. And I don't know anything else I can do. He said, he made a comment Friday, let a real judge decide instead of you being the judge. I'm like, okay, we'll do that. Because there's a $55K tax bill waiting with his name on it, not mine. But I love y'all so much, and thank you for standing by me. And I know that a lot of people have been messaging me. I mean, hundreds. And I'm okay. I'm okay. And I'm going to come back in a little bit. I love you more than you'll ever know.
If I can be honest with you, you really don't have to give us a divorce update. Nobody really cares. I don't know why y'all don't think that you can just be silent about it and let that be between you and your ex-husband. He's supposed to give me this. He's supposed to take care of that. Maybe he's just legally supposed to do whatever he's supposed to do and let that be it. Y'all are expecting the man who, by the way, he already has to pay you alimony. Well, that's what I deserve. Great. You expect the man to come over after you've been dogging him out on the internet and take care of anything else for you? Why would he? What benefit is it to him? He's already having to pay you alimony. Why? Well, you didn't get this done on the house. It's your house now. You could easily go get another place to stay, but you're not going to do that. In fact, you're going to get somebody else, which you probably went over there crying to them about it and said, could you please help me? Oh, okay, well, every once a week, we'll come in and try to repair and do things for you. I'm an old lady. I'm sweet. I'm just having such a hard time. Oh, yeah, okay. You don't have to do this. Just keep it to yourself. Mind your business.